Welcome everyone. I hope I'm audible. So first of all, thank you for joining CyberFusion 101. And I'm Samadhi Bandara, the Secretary of ISACA NSBM student community. Our goal is to enhance the basic knowledge of cybersecurity fundamentals and build awareness around the broad array of career opportunities in cybersecurity industry available for undergraduates. So that is our purpose of our webinar. So, and I have to do a small announcement before starting. At the end of the webinar, there will be a small Q&A session. So if you guys have any questions, you are free to ask at the end. Now, without any further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Nuwantha Fonseka, the Data Privacy Manager of Wiley Global Technology, to conduct the webinar. Sir, the mic is yours.
Hi everyone, thanks Samadhi. So am I audible to everyone? I hope so, right? Okay, so without taking any more time, let me just what I would like to tell you guys is that I'm not really a presentation guy. I don't like to put up a nice presentation and walk you through that. I'd rather have explained things to you. So, but in the meantime, I did create several slides for you all. So let me just quickly share that up with you all as well. So, is this the correct? So is my screen the slide deck visible to you all? Okay, so what I'll do is now let's just so as you are all here today, I'm assuming you are either undergrads or you are planning to pursue a career in cybersecurity as such, like or you're basically you are just interested in to know these concepts around looking for possibilities of joining any company as a cybersecurity professional. So I'll just have this slightly just to give an introduction to you what everything this cybersecurity, all these terminologies are. So let's take this in a way that instead of me telling you what is cybersecurity and what is what are the do's and don'ts and everything, let's just take the path where we can sort of explore as a cybersecurity professional what we need to do, what we need to be aware of, how are we going to improve a company or ourselves to the betterment. Likewise. So okay. Whenever we talk about cybersecurity, it's basically about we assume that it's about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is like everyone says it's a triad, the CIA triad, the three pillars of cybersecurity, as people like to call it. But ultimately, what happens is cybersecurity is the ultimate question about trust. So that is where we normally we fail to understand the thorough meaning of what we need to do as professionals. So everything that we do, we talk about confidentiality, protecting information that is sensitive or confidential to us or our company or to our as persons, as human beings, what is sensitive for us. So, and then integrity of it, the accurate data, we need to have our information about ourselves, about our company, about our individual lives and everything accurate. And then about availability. But ultimately, what the end goal should be is to build trust and to maintain that trust within all our stakeholders, which includes our employees. Let's say if we are in an organization, once you are like I said, you all are undergoing cybersecurity studies, you're undergraduates in cybersecurity field. So ultimately, you will have a good job in a cybersecurity field, maybe an analyst, manager, security pen tester. Likewise, all these careers we'll explore later on. Right now, you will have these things in place. You will get a career opportunity in an organization. So when you get that opportunity, what you need to realize, what you need to understand is you are just not there to hack hack machines or like, act against hackers and protect your company information. That is like your task ultimately. But what you need is to think ahead, 1 or 2 steps ahead of that, and see how am I going to build trust inside our organization, trust that our employees will have in our company, in my job role. So that is crucial. That is highly important when you're looking at a career in cybersecurity. So the other thing, next stakeholder is our customers. We do have like, if we are in an e-commerce business, if we are working in a bank, if we are working in a healthcare sector, whatever the industry it is, no matter if it's a large multinational conglomerate or whether it's going to be a small and medium business, anything, ultimately, these customers, whatever the information that they share with us, what maybe their financial details, the money they invest in us, the payments that they make to us, we need to protect that. We need to protect the privacy or like the value of our customers. That's another area we need to build trust on, and that is what we need to think about as well if we are starting a career in cybersecurity. And the other one, our business partners. So definitely what will happen is at our job, we will meet our, all the investors that we have, and then our senior management. We have, when you go into a company, you will realize one day there are like, board members, director board, and then external, any other investing parties that are there. So we call them simply, we can categorize them under business partners. So we need to build their trust in as well. Why will they invest money in a company that doesn't have any cybersecurity, that doesn't take cybersecurity seriously? So that's why trust is important in maintaining the relationship between our business partners as well. And then comes the most, I would say, the scariest, or rather the riskiest part of it, the regulators. So in Sri Lanka, though, we don't necessarily have much regulated industry when it comes to cybersecurity. Not even our healthcare sector or even our financial sector is that much regulated when it comes to all the cybersecurity controls that we have. Of course, central bank has set of controls, but that is only limited to the banking sector. So, but if you are going, let's say, imagine you get a job in a multinational company one day as a security analyst or a security architect or something like that, that you are going to any path that you choose to pursue. So therein you will be accountable and answerable to regulators, which is like, I'm pretty sure you must have heard about the General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR. So any country that is doing business with EU citizens, they have to be compliant with GDPR regulation. So that's a crucial part. So if we have any cyber data breach where personal data is breached and exposed, we definitely have to we will be held accountable and we will be fined by the regulators. So Sri Lanka recently had drafted a bill as well in personal data protection, so which is pretty much similar to the GDPR, but it's currently at a bill stage. So we are hoping that it will get passed, not yet finalized. So we'll just awaiting what will happen in that arena as well. So this is now these things, but there are other stakeholders as well. Like as general citizens, we need to be accountable for them. So ultimately, whatever now from this point onwards, the rest of the hour or the time that we are going to spend, one thing that we need to keep in mind is our role as cybersecurity professionals when we begin this journey is all about building trust. So everything that we do, every activity that we do, every job role that we do, whether it's going to be in a Chief Information Security Officer position or in a security analyst position, or even if we get, we all have to start somewhere. It'll be as an intern most probably. So I started as an intern. So what happens is like when we take this path, it's all about building trust. So that is what we need to keep in mind. So building trust will come in multiple arenas. People will entrust us as cybersecurity professionals to ensure that sensitive information are kept secret, which we call the CIA triad. So that's where if in our role we will be entitled, where we will be like authorized or accountable to do certain activities that will ensure all data is protected. Like, we have to do some server vulnerability assessments in servers and databases and all this application level, any security assessment to ensure that there are no chances for a hacker to access our personal or our sensitive information. So that's surrounding this, confidentiality. And then we move on to integrity. When we take on this path of a cybersecurity professional, be it in any level of employment, we will be we will be given the responsibility to ensure that we take all the necessary precaution and we guide our employers, our other teams to make sure the reliability and accuracy of our information is preserved. That is where we talk about integrity. So people trust us to make sure that the information that we have, that the company is processing and everything is made up to date. So if you are working on a CISO role or security manager and auditor role, we talk about all these things about change management, application development, security and application development. Likewise, I'm not going to go much into details in these things because I am pretty sure when you are doing in this degree path, you will learn these things in detail. So I don't want to turn this into a lecture. I'd rather just explain these concepts to you and emphasize more on how you can handle these in your career. So that's on integrity. Then comes the last one, the CIA, the availability factor. So as cybersecurity professionals, another job, another responsibility that falls on us is that ensure we have to work with teams, other teams like our IT teams, like our operations teams and everyone to ensure that we maintain access to information to all authorized parties. That's where availability comes in. Imagine if we are a e-commerce business, if your company is in the e-commerce business and you are unable to detect and mitigate a DDoS attack, what will happen is that website will be down. It will affect your customers. It will have a bad name on your company. So that's a DDoS attack is the best example for availability threat that we have. So very recently we saw that there are lots of news sites that were down because of certain issues in the hosting providers. So likewise, these are the three factors that we have. This journey goes on. It's not that we do a one-time activity to ensure we encrypt all our databases, production databases with, maybe use a DLP tool or something, and our machines, everything we encrypt them and we maintain confidentiality. So it's not the correct way to think that we have achieved information security. So even if we have all these, hashing algorithms and all these things in place, a nice change control procedure in place, then we can't assume that we have achieved cybersecurity. So, and then, okay, we are detecting, we have a nice SIEM tool in place, nice SOC and all these analytics. We are looking at all these things and, we mitigated one DDoS attack. That does not mean we have achieved cybersecurity as an organization or as an employee in cybersecurity field. So that's something that we need to keep in mind as well. So ultimately what will happen is these three factors, this is in cybersecurity, this is not, like I said, a one-time thing. This goes on. It's a journey that continuously happens. Continuously, we need to improve this. Whatever we did yesterday will not be the same, will not be effective today. So that is the key thing here. It's you can't have one type of control in place, like your antivirus. Once you install it, is not going to help you prevent any malware attack. So it's just that threat actors, we'll get into these things a bit in detail later on. So threat actors keep evolving, and if we do not evolve with them, or if we do not step ahead of them, we are always going to be left behind and be vulnerable. So that's on cybersecurity, the basics of it. So it's about building trust. Ultimately, if a company cannot trust you with if a company cannot trust you with protecting their information, then customers cannot trust the company. That's the domino effect we talk about in cybersecurity. So that's why we need to, when we'll talk about these things as we peek into the career aspect of it. So we need to be we need to have a passion and a desire to learn of these things. So we'll go into that. So there are multiple threat actors that are very common out there. So like, when we start cybersecurity, so I'll just put this up. So when we start cybersecurity, we like to, try all the we try to use many of the security techniques and all these things in random websites that we find. So that is where we call them as script kiddies. So like, as a hobby or as to learn things, we do these things. Some of them, like, will end up having more harm than expected, but then they play a role as well. Many of us, we start as script kiddies. We like to explore things. We like to attack, exploit vulnerabilities in websites, most common ones, and then try to get information as much as possible. So, bypass, domain or takeovers. These things are very common that people do. And then, like, we have a larger role that plays, hacktivists. So if you are like, if you have been paying attention recently to the events that are surrounding, so most of the times we see websites being defamed with, propaganda messages as such. So that's something that a hacktivist would do. They would take unethical measures actually over vandalism to ensure some message or their political agendas, push their political agendas. So that's one area. So the if these are mostly targeting large organization or state websites against, like, so anti-government measures, anti-government hacktivists, likewise they play quite a large role when it comes to these aspects. Then we have criminals, actual hackers who do it for money, extortion, ransomware. They do, sometimes they are organized criminals. So there are them as well. So, and then we have nation states one, when we take China having hacking American websites, then there's Russia and America cyber warfare tensions. So these are there as well, the nation states. Then the biggest thing, that is our insiders or our employees. When we learn these things, even at, like, if we take our personal lives, what we need to be really worried about is our own, people we work closely with. Imagine you go to a computer lab, you're working on your, you are using a common computer laboratory. You go and using the machine and you're unable to log in from your email or your social media accounts, or even possibly your banking, online banking account. So someone who has malicious intent will eventually exploit that weakness that you had. So these are some of the threat actors that we have in place. So what are the threats that are there? So, these things I'm not going to, let's not segregate these as business related ones and personal ones, because like ultimately everything what will happen is these threats remains the same, and if these are exploited, definitely there's going to be consequences. So first one is the identity theft. Like I said, one of the most common threats that we have is like, impersonation, or like, we have someone may pretend to be us, and then they might use our NIC details, our identification details to access our accounts, bank details, and all these things. So this is very common in not in globally as well, even in Sri Lanka. These are very common. And then we have hackers, like, like I said, the biggest threat is they do like, they develop new ransomwares, because like, Target very recently, there's been lots of ransomware, increase in ransomware, even in globally when it comes to the healthcare sector. I'm pretty sure if you have heard on the news, like, there was a Conti ransomware which affected healthcare sector a lot in globally. So what they do is they continuously look for opportunities to exploit our weaknesses, our company weaknesses, our personal weaknesses. It's even in, hackers may sometimes, of course, they might not target an individual, but unless they have a, unless we are high profile elite individuals, but then we might fall into these victims, like, we might fall a victim of ransomware, even if in our personal life. So these things could happen as well. And then what happened is, there are so much of malware in place, like, example, best example is ransomware, and then we have all those spyware, Trojans, and other viruses that could happen. Mostly in a network kind of in a corporate environment, we have these things as well. And then about, of course, the adware, like all these things that would come as keyloggers and stuff. We use torrents a lot, so which might have its own somebody can embed viruses into that in torrents file. That's why it says then we should not be using torrents at all. So that's a threat that we have. So and then we have the phishing, which is like, I would say, the biggest threat out there right now. So I have seen personally, or many of my friends have fallen victim to it. I'm pretty sure you must have know people like those as well. When you get a WhatsApp message saying that the ABC is giving 100 GB free, click on this link. Okay, like you have one pizza for 1 year free of lifetime pizza free, so you click on this link. So then you get messages like that. So that's a type of phishing attack. So and then what happens is this can happen in a business world as well, in the corporate world as well. So we might get, employees will get certain emails and all these things saying go to this site and enter your own username and password and do this and this and that. So which may ultimately harvest credential information about our employees and our company details, all these things. So phishing can lead to a lot of things actually. Sometimes phishing is a way that you could infect a machine with ransomware. That happens as well. So these are some of the common ones that we have, the common threats that we have. So if we are unable as cybersecurity professionals, if we are not able to help our organization, or even maybe if we take our personal life, help our friends or help ourselves, our families, to not fall victim to this, we are not really succeeding as cybersecurity professionals. So we have a long way to go. This is our role is to make sure that even in our personal life and in our corporate life, we build trust. So once again, I'm going back to the first very point is cybersecurity professionalism. Being a cybersecurity professional is to be the go-to person. They trust you to answer their biggest, most worrisome questions, scariest thing. Okay, we have a ransomware attack here. What are we going to do? How are you going to help me? So that's where we should aspire to be the person that everyone will look up to. So I think that is the best thing that is what motivates me when it comes to cybersecurity. So it's the same that you should also take in mind as well. So what happens if these, like I said, if we are unable to build that trust and if we fail? This once again, I want to emphasize the fact that cybersecurity is not our analysts' problem, our cybersecurity professionals' problem, but we play a major role. It's everyone's responsibility. But if we our role plays our designation, our professional life plays a lot of things when it comes to building this trust. So that's why. So if a company fails, if personally as well, we fall victim to any of these things, we might face we might end up facing financial losses. Imagine having a bank account accessed and then all our balance have been withdrawn. We are done. And if it's a company, imagine something happens and all your customer data has been leaked, and then you will be fined likewise. So again, done for life. And then you have the reputational damage that will come with it. So, okay, if you take the personal aspect of it, imagine somebody access our Facebook account. So, and then, maybe our Google Drives and everything, and all our family photos and all these things will leak, and they will manipulate and do all these things to our photos and put it in public sites. Our reputation is gone. So, and if it's a company, imagine having your company defaced, and then customers go and log into that, they see some vulgar pictures on your websites, or it's not down, it's just not working properly. Then there's your reputational damage. And then we have the data loss. So if somebody access your servers and delete all the data. So as if you're in a corporate base, so if you don't have any backups in place and everything, this will be a tedious task to get these things done, a mountainous responsibility falls on you as well. And then we have the criminal offenses. Like, like I mentioned about the GDPR, how it comes in. Sometimes it can be, you might be persecuted for that, and then you will have to undergo an investigation why this data breach happened and why as such. So that's another consequence as well. So you will be charged with criminal offenses. So this is simply like, I would say the threats and its consequences that we have. So I am assuming that we will have like, Q&A session separately. So I'll just move on with this. So what can we do as individuals to make sure that we are safe? And, we have all the controls, like, we are making ourselves secure on the internet and as we go along in day-to-day lives. So the first one would be, obviously, these are very simple tips. I'm not going to, like, I'm pretty sure you are doing these things since you are already in the field of cybersecurity, or you are planning to pursue this. So that is there as well. So, just these are like, the primary, I would say, ideally school kids should know these things, which we don't have in our country, because cybersecurity is not something that we teach in our curriculum in education sector. So that's not a huge drawback for us. So that's why I wanted to highlight these things as well. So everywhere we go, we need to have stronger passwords. Whether it's our Facebook, whether it's our Gmail, bank accounts, and all these things, or even in our offices. When we like organization and wise, they have most password control policies and measures in place, but we need to replicate this across everywhere we use the internet. So about characteristics and everything, like these has to be certain length, like if ideally 8 to 16 characters, like more than 10-12 characters would be the best for a password. And then the complexity of it, like the uppercase and lowercase characteristics and all these things, the combination of alphanumeric and uppercase, lowercase likewise. So that's something we need to practice, and even like encourage our maybe our friends, maybe our families to do as well. And the second one would be about the phishing scams. So whenever we get a message like that into our WhatsApp or into our Viber or Instagram or anything like that, what we need to tell is like, okay, first thing is we should not click on that. And then if it's not, if we cannot determine it's coming from a verified or authentic source, let's not open that. And then the other thing is, let's not forward that to anyone else. The most important thing that we could do is we need to tell the other one who sent us, maybe it's our friend, maybe it's our family member. We need to let them know that, we need to make them know that you should not click on this, and please do not forward this to others. You are doing this. This is not a valid email. This is going to probably, take some kind of account takeover might even happen. So likewise, that is very important. So sometimes we think, okay, we are not going to do it, we are not going to click it, so let's just leave it. But that's not something that I would recommend if we are in this profession. So we need to encourage people and educate them not to do that. So the other one would be antivirus software. So companies, if it's a business, definitely most companies, even if it's a small or medium businesses, they have antivirus softwares in place. But at homes, do we have that? Do we practice that? Maybe what we do is, most likely we use free, maybe trial versions or maybe cracked versions of antivirus software, or we may not use one at all. So there are certain things as well in that one. So ultimately, if it's personal life, if you're not using antiviruses, we are again risking our personal information. Our computer, we basically all our life, half of our life will be in our computers most of the time, our photos and everything. So if a malware happened, we might either lose this information forever, because like ransomware attack or something could happen, or this might fall into wrong people, who have access to our computers. So that's another aspect of it that we need to be vigilant about. And then we talk about the multi-factor authentication, which is again really, really crucial in this area. So companies have this in place. Like, if it's a business, if you're working in a corporate, they do have all these things, multi-factor authentication in place. Even if you're looking to email accounts, there are, other accounts that you have. So, and then if you're using online banking, most companies do have, most banking online bankers, they do have this option as well. In most cases, it will be to recover the accounts, but we do get that as well. But how many times in our personal lives have we done this? Like, have we enabled multi-factor authentication in our Facebook account, in our personal Gmail, in our Instagram accounts, LinkedIn, or any other emails that we are using? So how many of us has done that? So maybe it's time to go back and look into all these options, enabling multi-factor across all our platforms, which will be the best option. Because what it happens is, let's quickly explain. I'll quickly explain this if you're not really familiar with it. Even if somebody gets access to your username and password, they get to know that because you may have written it down somewhere, and they saw that, and they know your username, and your username is ABCE, and then your password is something. So even if they get to know that and they try to log in from another machine, what multi-factor authentication does is, it'll either to your mobile phone or to your any other recovery account that you have, it'll send you an alert saying this person is trying to log in. So is it you, or do you accept or not? So this is the level of control that we have. So multi-factor authentication can be in multiple ways as well. Like, you can even have a mobile phone connected to it, or you can have an authenticator software dedicated for that, like Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, all these things are there. So you can use any of these options, but it's the best thing that you could do is enable multi-factor all across your platforms. And then we have this backups. So now when we say backups, what normally happens is, like, we try to back up all our data. If you take personally, we have, like, if you're using iPhones, we'll use all these things in iCloud. And then even if we are using Android phones, we like to automatically back up all our photos and stuff into Google Photos and Google Drives. So these are the options that we have. But the risk there is, if we do not use it securely, we are sending our information to the cloud, which is the riskiest place out there. So I'm pretty sure you must have heard that recently, like, from some years back, even still, lots of celebrity iCloud accounts were hacked and accessed, and their photos were leaked. And then, like, if we never know that if we have not enabled multi-factor authentication, we never know what has happened in our Google Drives and Gmails, who knows our password and all these things. So there's a risk in it. That's why we say always use secure backup methods. So that's important as well. And then we talk about trusted websites. So which is another important things, like, sometimes when we go for, it's very common these days because of COVID-19, like, because most of the things are online now. So if you want to purchase something and we go to a site, and if it's not from a source that we know, if it's kind of fishy, if you look at it and it's kind of suspicious, let's not use our payment cards, or let's not purchase anything online from these sites. Like, we never know what they might do is harvest your credit card details, and then they might use it for just they'll take away all your money. So, and always look for websites that are using HTTPS or TLS v2, likewise all these things. But what happens is, now even HTTPS is now can be a fake website can also carry that certificate. So there are tricks in it. So what we could always do is, like, because when it comes to our personal security, if it's not something that we have used, if it's not something a reputed websites that we have, if it's the first time we are hearing it, let's not use that website for online purchases. I am not saying that we should not think that reputed websites, all these, like, all the e-commerce sites that are famous and have been around for years and years, is not susceptible to any cyber attacks. But still, like, there's an additional layer of protection in that, other than using a complete, untrusted sources. So these are some of the very basic things that we can do to ensure that personally our information is secure. We are safe online. But that is just, that this is something that we could always, share with our families and our friends, and even in our workplace, even in our studies, like, when we are doing some classes and all these things, we can share these things as well with our partners and all. So, but how can, like, when you're a cybersecurity professional, you are like, like I said, you play a very important role in driving your company towards, more secure areas. Like, you will be entrusted, like, with their data. So how would you do that if you are given a role in cybersecurity? So we might, when we are young, I mean, all of you are like, new to this area. You are looking at a nice picture of, hack the box and all these things. It's just a fancy word out there what you see. But when you go into the corporate world, it's completely different. So you can, there's your amount of knowledge that you can get from hack the box and all these hacking and all these things can learn is tremendous. But what will happen is, we need to, if we do not have the leadership support to that, we are never going to achieve information, secure infrastructure or anything. So nowadays, the cybersecurity, the market, the players are evolving as such that this has become a boardroom issue. So it's like, we have to, if in our role, we need to be in a position to go and tell our, maybe our supervisors, our leadership teams, our board members, that what we are doing is wrong, what we are doing is dangerous, what we are doing is not right, not ethical. So we have these risks in place. So that is that ultimately is our responsibility as cybersecurity professionals. We need to encourage that we take cybersecurity to the boardroom, not just behind our computer. Or we look at, we have the nice SIEM in place and we are looking at it, we are monitoring, escalating, done. That's not that our role doesn't end there. So that's something we need to keep in our mind. And then, we play a key role in identifying that necessary technical and organizational controls are in place. Like, is our firewalls working properly? As cybersecurity professional, that's what we need to, like, if they are not doing it right, we have the right and we have the authority to tell them, no, you have not configured these rules correctly. There are, these ports are open. It's not secure. You are still using telnet, all these things. The level of information, like, our understanding of the technical and organizational controls plays a huge role in overall company security. So that's one thing that we can do as cybersecurity professionals. So I'm not, once again, this is not only our responsibility, but we are the go-to guy. We have to play that role of, we should be the go-to person. If an IT has a problem, they should, like, we need to be in a position that they'll come to us and ask, okay, am I doing it right? Will you help me on that? So that's that is the level of success we need to achieve as cybersecurity professionals. The other thing is adopting security frameworks and best practices. So, okay, you can have, like, you continuously you do VAPTs on production servers, you do all these wireless security assessments, firewall rule reviews, and then website security assessments, and all these things, web application assessments, everything can be done. But how are we going to maintain the security, like, basically the posture of it? That is where all these frameworks come into play. So in your, during your academic studies, you will learn about ISO 27001 and then other factors like NIST CSF cybersecurity framework. Then there are many others, like, the PCI DSS standard. Likewise. So what will happen is, it is our responsibility that we help or else like, we actively engage or initiate about all these implementation of security frameworks and best practices. So we need to be in a position to tell that no, we should do this. So there are some questions coming up, so I assume that we can go into that at the end of the session. So just keep your questions coming. We'll go into that. So I'll explain these things first. And the other one would be vulnerability management programs. So like, we need to have, it's like if we have multiple servers or websites or even cloud, we are using cloud infrastructures, we need to have proper VAPT programs in place. How are we going to continuously do this? What are the frequencies? So if you are a security architect, security engineer roles, or like pen tester role, if you are pursuing that area, we need to be like, it's not about the expertise or our, excellence in hands-on experience. It's about, identifying what we do afterwards. How are we going to take the business buy-in that we need to do this, and then we need to push remediation of these things to other teams in the business likewise. So that's another area, like, if you are pursuing a path in security engineering, pen testing, analyst, likewise, you will play a major role in this vulnerability management. And then about risk management. So which is like, we call governance, risk and compliance, which is like, you will learn these as well. But I would like, this is very, I would say many young people do not seem to like this because it's similar to like, it's mostly in Sri Lanka, actually, it's mostly Excel based. When we talk about a risk assessment for IT risk assessment, they might, what they show is like, from my experiences as, my previous experiences as auditing and IT auditing that I have done. So when we ask about a risk assessment, they open a huge Excel sheet, which has like, hundreds of columns and hundreds of rows in it. So this is a risk assessment. So that's I would say, that's actually one of the misconceptions that has surrounded risk management. So it's not just Excel sheet maintenance. So risk management plays a key role in maintaining cybersecurity. So even if we have the best practices, even if we have the technical controls, even if we have the vulnerability management programs, ultimately these things have to be tackled and managed through an enterprise-wide risk management program. So that's something we need. If you are planning to, if some of you all are planning to pursue in that area, like, the governance, risk and compliance, we call it GRC aspect, security, we have the VAPT and then we have the GRC aspect of it. So if you are planning to pursue in that area, your knowledge or your understanding of risk management is extremely, I would say, is a top priority. So we'll go into these things, what are the career paths that you can use in that one. So once again, as cybersecurity professionals, we need to, like, if we are to protect the businesses, risk management is really important. And then about security policies. So we know, like, even, you must have come across security policies and all these things as well. But what happens is, like, most of the time we think it's just a document. That is where implementation gaps are clearly visible in an organizations. Like, if as cybersecurity professionals, if what we have done is just draft a nice document and given it to our, like, draft a document on behalf of our company, that's not security policies. That we cannot call ourselves cybersecurity professionals. So this policies needs to be enforced and implemented. Like, we know information security policy. If you take an information security policy, that's the company commitment to protect information of its stakeholders. So it may look like a nice document. Sometimes some companies have like 10, 20 pages in their information security. Some companies have only 1 or 2 pages. So despite the length, information security policies is the ultimate, guarantee that we are going to do these things. So as cybersecurity professionals, what we need to do is this policy we need to implement across the company. What controls we need to identify the right controls to act and to enforce that policy. Now we have information security policy, we have acceptable usage policies. Likewise, there are so many policies. If you go into when you are learning ISO 27001 somewhere, in your academic programs, you will learn these things. Multiple policies. Companies can have hundreds and hundreds, not hundreds, I would say close to 50 policies there are in some companies. The larger the organization, they like to break it down to minimum, set of policies that are easy to manage. And then be a part of security communities for feedback and news, which is very important, like even on a personal level. So like, what we are doing now. So we have your NSBM, the ISACA chapter is one of the best platforms that you can use to learn about new things. So, there are other communities as well. So personally, it's for your betterment that you be a part of these communities as well. And for organization also, this is important. Why? Because the more network they build, the more feedback, news and threats and trends they get to aware with, and they can share knowledge with others. So that's important as well. And then the most important part. So this is like I said, if we are a successful cybersecurity professional, people should, whenever they have a problem, they need to be in a position, okay, I should ask this from him. What will he say? Okay, can you help me with that? They look up to us for education. So it is our duty, even personal life. We need to, like I said, we need to educate our friends, our families and all these things around us. But if once we start a career as a cybersecurity professional, we should take the initiative and, get the, of course, management and other teams should play a role in as well. They should participate to these things. But it's our responsibility. I would say 75% of our responsibility to implement a comprehensive awareness program. So keep educating employees. That's key to tackle any cyber threats, especially the phishing attacks, the ransomware, the social engineering attempts, all these things, which are the biggest threats that are out there. So this is the I just explained about what we have in cybersecurity at the moment. What is cybersecurity and how we can tackle the threats and all. Just a small food for thought, why I wanted to put this here is about talking about awareness. So as you can see in here, in one corner we have all the technical controls like firewalls, encryption, antivirus, and then we have a dev basically who is not really a convincing person who might fall victim of a phishing attack. So it's up to us to decide who is going to win this battle. So yeah, it's human error is the biggest concern we have. So it might have adverse repercussions if we don't educate our employees, even ourselves. Personally, if we don't educate ourselves, what are the best practices, like I mentioned earlier, it will have negative consequences. So I'd like to now, let's say, just to explain you about the career aspects of it. So let's go on. So, you all are here, I'm sure undergrads and, already some, you're maybe in your third, fourth or any second years, maybe you're not exactly in cybersecurity, maybe in other areas as well. But, if this passion is why you join this session is probably you have an interest in cybersecurity. So probably you want to convert that into a career. So I'd like to explain a few things that, we need to look into. And I mean, as with any career, there are certain things that are applicable here as well. But, this why you chose cybersecurity is because it looks different and looks more interesting. So I am glad that I chose cybersecurity 8 years ago. So, I have been able to be a part of lots of organizations. I worked as a consultant and worked with many organizations. So I have, many industry exposure I have had. So I'm still glad at it. It's a decision that I do not regret at all. So I just want to give some tips on that to you all. So let's just I'm not sure. I was assuming this was actually a Teams meeting, so I wanted to have a Q&A session, but then I just explained this. So you must know him, right? He was on the news, unfortunately passed away. So, and then this guy, and then this guy. So first one is Eugene Kaspersky. He founded Kaspersky Studios. So Kaspersky Labs. So and then it's just he passed away recently. So he was a pioneer in antivirus solutions. Kaspersky must have had its has had its ups and downs, but he is always considered a leader in cybersecurity. And then of course we have Edward Snowden. So he was one with the all the exposed the NSA and all the surveillance programs. He was kind of an idol for many people sometimes back. He's still. Then we have the fictional character. I'm pretty sure you all must have read watched Mr. Robot. So I watched it and I was like, when it first came out, I think about 2016, it was like a huge hit. Everyone started having talking about hacking, and they basically it's considered one of the most accurate shows about cybersecurity. So about hacking and all. So these are people, if we take business leaders today, if we take cybersecurity professionals today, and all these things, we hear these things. These people are I'm not sure talking about Elliot Alderson, the fictional character, but Eugene Kaspersky and Edward Snowden, they're considered pioneers in it. Now, if you are a lady, if you're a girl who is interested in cybersecurity, don't be discouraged. We often think that cybersecurity is mostly a male-dominated industry because we don't get to, we never hear about, women making all the leadership roles and all these things. But there are people who did that really, really well. This, I think, will be really helpful for you all. So these two ladies, very, most noteworthy figures out there in the industry. Last one I'll explain to you later. So Dorothy Denning and Rebecca Bass. So if I'm pretty sure you must have heard about intrusion detection, IDS systems, and as well. So and then about cryptography and all these things. So Dorothy Denning and Rebecca Bass are two of the pioneering ladies who worked in that area research. So they were inducted to the Cybersecurity Hall of Fame in 2012 by US government because of their contribution. So they are still now they're working in academic industry. So they are it's just once again, what I wanted to highlight is that if you are a girl and you feel like cybersecurity is challenging for me, I'm not getting any support and all these things, it's a wrong conception. There are people out there, there are some incredible ladies, even there are so many figures that you go on LinkedIn and see lots of new voices out there. And then the last one is Lisbeth Salander. I'm pretty sure you must have heard about the girl with the dragon tattoo. If you are a book reader, if you are a reader, and you must have read the trilogy. So she was a very famous hacker. Let's not talk about the films because it did not really explore the character much, but you should read the books. So just wanted to highlight that, in equal measures, there are women and men who had contributed, who has shaped the cybersecurity industry so far. Why they did that is where we need to have as well. So I'm seeing lots of about certification and all these things that are coming in. So my answer is, if you want to be a successful cybersecurity, if you want to start a career, the only thing that matters is your passion. So when you look at job advertisements in Sri Lanka, this is a very sad state we have. So in Sri Lanka, when you want to come to an entry-level cybersecurity position, they ask for certain certification. They tell, okay, you need to have a bachelor's degree in this. So I wouldn't say you don't. I'm not saying you don't need to have that, but there is a misconception that we rarely give the opportunity to a person who is actually passionate about it. So what matters is ultimately, okay, you can have, you can spend so much money and effort on certifications, or else some people what they do is like they, there are certain, I'll go into some of the, not my independent views on these certifications, but there are certain certifications that are easier to pass without any practical knowledges in it. So it's, if you just do that and, if you expect to be a successful cybersecurity professional based on just because you say I have this certification, that's a wrong path, because from my experiences, all it takes is the passion to be different when it comes to cybersecurity. I'll explain some of the skills that we need to have. Like, if you are like, if you have the passion, there is no stopping you. There is no end to the path you can go. That's like, I'm pretty sure that's all with that's similar to every career path that is there. But in cybersecurity, that is where we forget a lot about these things. We think like, we are more dependent on our certifications and all these things instead of actually practicing and, what do you call, enhancing our skills. So that is where the passion lies. So what job roles are there? So let's just quickly explore what are the kind of things that we have, job roles that are, so this is not a exclusive list. There are so many other things that I wanted to highlight, just some that these are actually on the rise. So we have security architects now, entire infrastructure or any application or cloud architecture. So these are managed by security architects. So very high demand job, which are these, like, you need to have certain, I would say, skill levels and other things, like, if you want to be a cloud security engineer, there are, if you're planning to pursue the path in Azure, there are certain certifications that we need to do. If it's on AWS, there are certain certificates. So likewise, then security architects and security engineers are huge, highly on demand jobs nowadays. And then we have the chief information security officers. We call it CISOs. Basically it's like, everything, the practice is, if anything goes wrong, the entire company puts the blame on the CISO. You failed at your job. So it's a very risky and scary job, but it's a very rewarding one. And then we have pen testers. We have a red team in, blue team in, purple teams. All these things are coming in, and then they're like, when it comes to forensics, I forgot to add that here, but forensics analysts and forensic security forensic experts are another highly in demand career as well. Then we have threat hunters, security analysts, and then we have information security managers and risk managers, who are like, if we go back to what I talked about, the risk management, they play a huge role in this one. So these are some of the jobs that are there, but there are various roles out there. Now, let's say with data protection that came in, like, the GDPR that came in, there are so many new avenues that opened up for privacy people. Now, like, let's say like the current role that I took in. So we have privacy related ones a lot. Privacy analysts, we have the data protection officer role, which is pretty much similar to chief information security officer, but they are mostly working with the business on data protection and privacy related ones. So this is the job market out there. I'm not going to put any, I didn't put any statistics out there, but what I wanted to do was basically to give you the idea that this is the market that is out there. So, okay, now, before we go into certifications, okay, what certifications do we need? No, certifications will not get you anywhere if you are not a cybersecurity professional with these skills, which are very important. This is once again not an excessive list. So first thing is a desire to learn. I would put that at the top is, like I said, the passion. So like I mentioned earlier in previous slide, like I said, the threat landscape, the threat actors are evolving. The companies, how they do business is evolving. So as cybersecurity professionals, like, we used to think that we need to think like a hacker. But actually, if we are to succeed as a company, as a cybersecurity professional, we need to think ahead of a hacker. So that is the defining factor between a security analyst, a security professional, or a hacker or a script kiddie. So how we can achieve that is learning. So there's like so much of learning opportunities out there. You don't need to necessarily pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars in for certifications. There are so many, like, very recently we saw, like, even during the pandemic situation, LinkedIn Learning, Coursera, and then many other certification education websites, they offered free courses. It's still out there. So learning is the biggest thing that you can do to sharpen your skills. So whatever that you cannot achieve through certificates can be achieved if you just spend hours watching a YouTube video. Simple as that, you can learn a lot. So as cybersecurity professionals, it's a must. We can't just, we can't be expected to secure, be expected to successfully secure an large company infrastructure if we are just studying from our textbooks from 4 years ago. That's not going to happen. And then the other thing is problem solving skills. So like I said at the start of this session, it's all about building trust. So if IT or business or anyone comes to us with a problem, we need to give them a solution. So, it has to be, there are cost factors in it, there are operational factors in it, everything in we need to have some exceptional problem solving skills, because we are looking at a problem that will likely to affect an entire business. So I am not trying to scare you guys, but what I want to tell you is that if we are to, if it's you all are one day you will want to start a career in cybersecurity, but these things are really important. So, and then good logical thinking and analytical skills is a must. So you are like, if you take a SOC, so if you are working as a SOC engineer or someone, you are analyzing lots of IOCs, compromise indicators, or threat intels, all the platforms. You need to take quick actions, and then analyze these things. Okay, there could be potential attack happening, all these things. Even from a risk management perspective, if you see so much of risks in the company, you need to analyze where it is happening, where are we failing, likewise. So analytical skills and logical thinking is really important if you want to be successful in cybersecurity. And then communication. So like I mentioned about the boardrooms, okay, so you can you can say, okay, there are cross-site scripting vulnerabilities in there. There are SQL injection happening. So all these things, but the business, your CEO, your COO, your chief risk officer, they might not understand what exactly does it mean, because they are not technical people. Some of them may not be business. Most of the business people are not coming from a technical background. So our communication skills, why it is important is we need to transform this into a language that the business understands. We need to talk in a sense that, okay, this is your risk. So that's why communication skills is so important. And then attention to details. Some small error, small malicious activity can lead to a larger negative effects that we need to make sure. And then ability to make quick decisions. That's something else. So we every time, imagine you wake up one day and then you are sleeping, and you in the middle of the night you get a call from someone and your office, and they say, okay, our website has been hacked and this is happening. What are we going to do? You need to start immediately looking at to prevent these things and how we are going to prevent it from spreading across. All these things can come into it. You have to make quick decisions, because this is a very challenging and very high speed, I would say, industry. And then confidence and leadership skills is must. So like I mentioned in the first place, although it is not our responsibility fully, we need to take the initiative and bring everyone else to this journey and take them on. That requires a lot of leadership skills. Then when you have mastered these things up to a certain extent, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen at your first job. It's not going these things are, it takes practice. It takes ages and ages, all these things. So this is once you get these skills, once you are comfortable and okay, I am good at these things, then your domain expertise will help you. So like, the certificate, the paths you choose. Okay, I want to use cloud security. I want to go into forensics. I want to go into risk management. I want to go into auditing. I want to go into pen testing, all these areas. So that is the other aspect of it. Now on to the certifications. I think this is the last one that we have. So I just very common ones, I would say. So if you are I saw some questions about the start of it and all these things. So if you have to start when it comes to cybersecurity and all, I think ideally is CompTIA Security Plus is one of the leading ones at the moment. So it is highly recommended. So it gives you the basic networking and all these security concepts, highly valuable and on demand. So apart from your degree, so if you want to start a career or learn these things, CompTIA Security Plus is what is. So once again, this is an individual, I would say this is my opinion. So you might have other views as well, but it's just saying giving you some tips. So and then initially, so if you are like, you know certain things about pen testing and you want to pursue that path, for a beginner in pen testing, I would actually recommend eLearn EJPT certification, which is like completely practical examination. So there's CH as well. Now CHS has been like, make a what do you call practical and theory-based examination. This has 2 lines as well. So that's there as well. So EJPT is a really comprehensive, nice examination. And then if you are into overall cybersecurity, like, you want to sort of like I am aspiring to be a CISO role, also information security manager, chief information security officer, that kind of a role, like, certified information security manager, ISACA certification CISM, or ISACA C-Risk, or ISC2 certified information CISSP are 3. No, I'm not saying you to do all 3, but these 3 will be really, really helpful. It's about managing an entire security program, security organization kind of a thing. That is really helpful. And then if you want to, like, pursue a career in IT auditing kind of a thing, assurance kind of a path, then definitely the CISA, ISACA Certified Information Systems Auditor, is really, really helpful. Even to give a start in, auditing concepts of cybersecurity, information systems auditing, that's the best place to go. And then once you have all these things, and if you are really familiar, if you are really confident, the best possible, I would say, the next best step would be to pursue an offensive security certification, which is like very advanced but extremely rewarding, and it is the best showcase of your talent out there. It is one of the best showcase of your talents out there. So this is like these are ultimately are depending on the path you want to take. Actually, where do you see yourself in? Like if you are any interview we go, we may be asked this question: where do you see yourself in 5 years? So whenever you are making the decision about pursuing certifications or a path, you have to always ask from yourself, where do I see myself in 5 years time? Am I seeing myself responsible for security infrastructure, network security, like the go-to pen testing guy? Okay, he's the guy. Then I need to pursue certifications in the pen testing areas. Or am I going to be like, I want to manage a cybersecurity program. I want to be like, answerable to the board, given the responsibility to drive these initiatives about security auditing, risk management, all these things. Then there are certain certification paths that you can take, like, CISSP, CISM. And then if I want to be an expert in cybersecurity, start with OSCP, offensive security certifications. Like, that is, this is the outline of it. There are many you can choose whatever you want outside of this as well, but these are some things that you can start with. So think now we can move on to the questions. So what is the time that we have been given? Is it 2 hours time? Is it 1 hour's time?
It's 2 hours time, sir.
Okay, yeah. So let's just quickly. There are a few questions that we can that I think I may have already answered these questions. So the first one would be, I'll look at the published ones. Yeah, so let's go to the first one. Please explain more about VAPT. So vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is like, explain about, I would say, VAPTs is vulnerability assessments. There are so many tools that you can do. So it is identifying system and network vulnerabilities, and then like, scan tools we can, we have Collies, NASers, and all. We are using scanning tools to do these things, and even website assessments, like website vulnerability assessment. We use like Burp Suite, SonarCube, and all these things to do assessments in cloud and web-based or in servers. So pen testing is actually, you are going to penetrate the system. It may be black box, or white box. So you might get all the details, but you're going to exploit the vulnerabilities and go inside. So those are we call it VAPT. So first thing is about doing and scanning and get the assessment results. Pen testing is where you exploit it and move on. And actually do actually create a exploit and try to get the detail information out. The other one, is asking, can I find a pen testing job with certs without a degree? Of course. So like I said, even if you don't have a degree, we should never discourage ourselves. I know people who doesn't have a BSc degree in cybersecurity or even at all, who has who is now in good career in cybersecurity pen testing path, because it goes back to the passion. So if you there are so many platforms out there that you can use. Most people are using Hack the Box, so you can always try that. If you are passionate about pen testing, use these things, use these tools, and then do every day. Like I said, it's every day you need to learn something. So if you do that, you don't. I'm not encouraging people to I'm not encouraging people to not do a degree, but just don't be discouraged that if you don't have a degree, you can't pursue a career in pen testing. So that's not in globally now. If you know that Google, Apple, all these major tech companies, they no longer require a degree to actually get jobs. So it's not a mandatory requirement. In Sri Lanka, it's a bit we are more conservative, but a degree will give you the right platform, to prepare you and give you the opportunity to help you learn, and guidance and everything will be given. But if you don't have it, you don't need to be discouraged. And then I'll go into the next one, find jobs in malware analysis sector. So yes, so this is about pen testing. Sorry, this is about forensic analysis plays a role as well in here. So it's part and parcel of a security engineering job here, because in Sri Lanka, forensic is not really, I would say, famous area. So every security engineering team out there, we have all the companies who give security engineers as such, so they have their own forensic experts. There are certifications like certified forensic expert is there, the forensic investigator is there from EC Council. So globally there are so much of forensic opportunities as well. In Sri Lanka also there are a few. So if you can, it's ultimately you're asking how can we find jobs in malware analysis sector. So that I haven't actually come across, let me just check. Yeah, I haven't actually come across a dedicated role in malware analysis in recent time, or in forensic analyst in recent time, but it is mostly associated with the security engineering teams that are there. So then the last one, what kind of certs do I need to follow for cybersecurity in Sri Lanka? Yes, so if you take 10 advertisements in Sri Lanka for cybersecurity analyst or engineer position, 9 of them will have CEH. So that's a given actually, CEH, and then sometimes in most recent times we have seen EJPT has been an option as well. So those two definitely will give you an added advantage, and then in some cases they say CISM or CISSP is preferred. So I'm just giving you some samples, like, if you take most of the advertisements, if you go and look at any advertisement related to what do you call security vacancies, these things will be there: EGPT, CEH, CISSP, CISM, these things. So yeah, what kind of search do I need? And then it depends on, like, there was another question for cloud, I would say. Yes, so I club that with the cloud career. So most companies, like, most tech companies are now moving to cloud infrastructure, like, Azure, AWS, maybe IBM Cloud, and all these things. So there are AWS specialist, AWS administrator, AWS security specialist, and then Azure administrator. All these things, couple that cloud certification with your security certification, you will have a, I would say, you can have a nice start into your cloud security engineering aspect as well. So if you have those certifications, like, AWS, Azure, and all these areas, in any company that is already working in that sector, in the in cloud-based infrastructure, you will have a upper hand in it. So that's something I would like to highlight as well. So I want to learn more about digital forensics. Can you please tell me where? Like I said, if you want to start free, there are so many free websites that has courses in forensics, like Coursera, Pluralsight, and then even on LinkedIn there are what do you call forensics, and LinkedIn Premium. It's for 1 month free option is anyway there. So most of them will not be free, but if you go into Google, because of these COVID these days, there are so many free courses that are given. So you can start digital forensics in that area. And if you want to pursue it further as a path, there is cybersecurity forensic hacking and forensic investigator of EC Council certification. And what is the first recommended job for a cybersecurity graduate? Where do we start? What is the first step, since there are only limited jobs in Sri Lanka? So that's a really good question. So I would I have worked in a Big 4 consulting firm. So there are at the beginning, so most areas you could start in a SOC analyst kind of a thing, and then there are other opportunities for VAPT teams in consulting firms and security managed services firms, and then there are, like, SOC engineers, SIEM engineers, security analysts in banking. So although it's a limited job role is there, like you said, it's very limited, but there are certain starting points as well. So like I said, most of there's a trend in rising SOC teams out there, security operations centers, and even in consulting firms there are opportunities for internships, even in VAPT, risk management, application security, mobile application security, in all these areas. So first recommended job, it's up to you all. I wouldn't recommend take up this job, but what I would recommend is, if that job fits your fits where you want to be in 5 years time or 2 years times, then go for it. Like it's a very limited job market out there in Sri Lanka, and pay is, I would say, not up to global standards, but we are evolving. Lots of, like, most companies are now having certain level of industry pay standards as well. So ultimately, if you see, okay, this job will help me, pursue on the path that is my ultimate passion, I will take this. You should take it. And there is one, how do I start a career in cloud security? So yes, cloud security, what is, like I said, there are Cloud Security Alliance. There is a overall cloud security examination, and also ISC2 had certified cloud security professional. So that's on if you want to choose a path on cloud security. And then, like I said, companies will have a sort of like mainly it's either Azure or AWS. So learn on those areas, cloud infrastructure, that is key. So you can start learning from both. But then if you want to specialize, learn either one and then go for a cloud certificate, security certification like that are there in ISC2 and Cloud Security Alliance. So I hope that answers. And the other one would be I write program, but I won't learn security. How can I start security, sir? Should I learn network security from the scratch? So if you have an, okay, so one thing we need to be clear is if we are to pursue a career in or start a career in cybersecurity, definitely we need to have an understanding of entire IT, basic understanding at least on IT concepts, like networking, development, databases, all these. It's a combination of these things. So I'm not saying you need to be expert in all of these things, but how it works, the fundamentals of networking, we need to be aware. We need to have proper education on. So if you're in programming, but I won't learn security, so you can start from like there are certain primary certification, security certification and courses online. You can start from there. So I write program, but so and then if you want to once you are familiar with these things, you can try all these examination and courses that are there like CISSP, CompTIA Plus, and all these things. So that's a path you can take. And then what security certification should I get first? APS, yeah. It's up to you actually. So whenever what I'm always saying, even when I was training my interns as well at my previous place, what I say okay, what exactly do you want? There are certain, do you want to be someone who specialized in application security, mobile application security, secure development area? Then you should go for certified systems secure lifecycle practitioners, CSSLP in ISC2. Or if you want to be a pen tester, if you want, I want to be if you want to excel or have a strong knowledge and background in pen testing, definitely start with EJPT. And then if you want, there are people who like auditing and risk management. Definitely the start should be CISA, ISACA Certified Information System Auditor. So it depends on where do you there are multiple avenues. Like if you want to do something related to cloud, definitely go with first start with vendor specific cloud certifications of what areas that you need to be. So it's up to you all actually. So start from where you see, where do you think which will value you the most in future. So that's the ultimate defining factor. I want to be a pen tester. Where can I start? So I am assuming if you are already following a degree program, so that's something that you want to complete. And then most newcomers, entry level ones, they start with CompTIA or else EJPT. So EJPT is highly recommended. Like I said, it's a very practical examination. It will give you a lot of hands-on experiences. So if you want to be a pen tester, I think that would be the best start. Once again, so it's up to have a bit of since you are look into the curriculums if both of these, you take CAH, you take EJPT, you take CompTIA Plus, look at the common body of knowledge, the syllabus kind of a thing, and see, okay, what am I good at? What will be helpful for me in 2 years or 3 years, likewise. So, and then there's another one. Can you explain more about CISO role, about the background? Okay. So CISO role is, like I said, if anything goes wrong, he will be the first person that will get the blame. Why? Because cybersecurity, companies tend to think cybersecurity is one person role responsibility. So CISO is actually someone who is going to manage the entire security avenues of the company, I would say. You have the pen testing team, you have the auditing team and all these things, and then you have the external regulatory bodies that will come in. CISO will be ultimately accountable and answerable to all these things. So he's basically like, he's a decision maker. In most companies, CISO reports directly to the CEO or COO. Like, that's even in Sri Lanka, the central bank, what they had initially, some of the guidelines that they are going to have. So CISO will be independent of IT role. He will be directly responsible or reporting to the business. So, he will be responsible for all the risk management of the company, and then any vulnerability management and pen testing programs that are there. So, execution of it. He will instruct the teams to do this, and cybersecurity awareness, that will be his responsibility. He will be overlooking. He will be on oversight of this. So that's CISO's role and about the background. So I hope that gives you an answer. Okay. So why so much hype on OSCP? It's just a beginner level exam, and it's just basic pen testing. I would partially agree with it. It depends. So based on your examinations, because like, I haven't actually pursued OSCP because from my side, what I actually like is mostly into governance, risk and I'm actually into data protection and privacy now. So OSCP, what it like, I have worked with, when we were in the technical areas, what we wanted to be like is it gives, I would say, okay, if I'm being honest, every certification is, hyped up to a certain extent. So same goes to CISSP, OSCP. Sometimes it might look like, they say just because like most companies, what they do is they ask OSCP to be on an entry-level examination, not knowing that what OSCP is. It's just, they just do a Google search of terms, security qualification, and then put it in their job description. So much hype on OSCP is just because of that. I would agree. But then again, what happens is the OSCP, it actually prepares to be you to be a pen tester in a real-time environment. Why I would say that is at the end of the at the end of the exam, you're supposed to write a report, pen testing report. So which is what many examination in any pen testing examination or will not give you the opportunity to, because why? When you go into a career, when you start your career as a cybersecurity professional, you will have, like I said, you need to hack. Okay, you need to try and do a pen testing and get the result, but you need to communicate this to the board or to the management or leadership. So you need to identify, all the reporting basics and all these, the analytical thinking, you need to put it out. So I think OSCP tests that particular element which is not captured in other examination. So which is why it is hyped. Once again, it's just a basic pen testing examination. I do agree. But the advantage is that it's the process of qualifying the person as a qualifying them for an OSCP certification is that. Okay, so the other one would be, say, where we were. Okay. Difference between system security and cyber security. Okay, system security is, if we take, it's inside the domain of cybersecurity, overall in the information security aspect of it. System security means, okay, if it's when we talk about access control and then change management, backups, what do you call, all these things for a particular information security system, that is applicable to system security. Cybersecurity is the entire gamut of connected world, I would say, connected infrastructure. Like, your firewalls and everything, whatever that is connected to the internet, your external threats that are there, internal threats that are there, the network traffic monitoring, scanning, all these things, these are part of cybersecurity. So that's actually the difference, I would say. It's more, I'm not saying we cannot really interchange those words, but system security is on information system components. Cybersecurity would be the risk in the interconnected infrastructure. That is the simplest way I can put it. And ethical hacker and a pen tester. So what is the difference between an ethical hacker and a pen tester? So ethical hacker and a pen tester is actually pretty much the same. So it's like pen tester. Them like pen testers are actually hired by an organization to do pen testing, or it's like he works individually, but he's also in a doing it in his ethical boundaries. Like, you know, he's not if he's not doing it, if he's doing it in an unauthorized manner, he cannot be classified, or he cannot self-identify himself as a pen tester. He will be like, you know, black hat hacker or someone. So unethical hackers, that's what I call it. Ethical hackers is, once again, he's bound in contractual terms, like, you know, maybe for an employer, maybe for a consulting firm, maybe for an individual, he's bound in on contractually and ethically to do this particular activity. So it's nothing like, you know, it's not something that we do against or in an unauthorized manner. Is Hack the Box a good point to start? So if you are looking at a career in, like, you know, if you want to hack in and all these things, I would say yes. Most people, like, you know, if you go in LinkedIn, I would suggest everyone in, you know, right now from start networking on LinkedIn. Then you might see that, you know, many of the hacking and pen testing domain experts out there have started with Hack the Box. So that's one of the best platforms to learn these things. It's like, you know, there are so much of opportunities, and, you know, you can build a huge network as well inside Hack the Box. Like, you know, you can share experiences in the forums and all these things. I would say it's a good point to start. I want to learn blue teaming. What are the basic skills I need to learn? So even when it comes to even when it comes to blue teaming, so it's the basic principles of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing are applicable for this as well. So about it's a combination of and typing, yeah. So once again, it's for blue teaming as well. What you need to know is, like, you know, vulnerability assessment, basic knowledge, and then about threat intelligence, analytics, everything will come. It's not like, you know, we cannot say you need to learn this and this, right? At this point, it may be valid, all the tools, new knowledge about tools, and may be valid, but tomorrow it evolves. So as long as you are familiar with the general fundamentals of vulnerability assessment, threat intelligence, analytics, and all these things, you can like, you know, those are the basic skills that you need for blue teaming. So difference between computer sec and cybersecurity. So I would say it's the same answer that you're like, you know, computer security means, like, you know, in the system components, security about system components like access controls and all these things. Cybersecurity means, like, you know, it's on the simplest term, it's basically about the connected infrastructure, like, you know, internet, external threats, cloud infrastructure, all these things will come into play when it comes to cybersecurity. Does a security operations center work? Okay, so it's a lengthy question. So how does a security operations center work? I would just simply explain it with, like, you know, okay, you have a SIEM solution, like, you know, security intelligence and event management solutions that are there. So you can have all the logs of your crucial systems, like, you know, maybe your applications, firewalls, all the systems that are there logged will be configured to that SIEM solution. And you will have a team of security analysts, or we call it security operations center analyst, SOC analyst, monitoring this system, monitoring the SIEM for any anomalies, any incidents, anything that is suspicious. And then what they do is, if they note that, they will escalate it and they will continuously monitor this. So there are so much of things happening in the background, but I would like to that if we are, like, you know, not going to take too much of time explaining that, simply because it's just been, like I said, that's why we need to have lots of analytical skills and excellent quick decision making skills for this, is because whenever you detect an anomaly, because we have all the log sources coming in through the SIEM, when you are a SOC analyst, you need to be monitoring this very carefully. and it'll send you alerts and everything. We have to respond, we have to make quick decision, we have to make escalations. So that's where basically how it happens. So it's mostly it's a 24/7 monitoring. So hope that answers. Let's go to, I want to be a security engineer. Where can I start? Okay, same way. So if you're undergoing the degree, best thing is to you complete your degree. So definitely that will lay you the foundation on anything in your academic or any background or guidance it will give you. Then start from your security engineering, there are so many things. If it's a network security engineering is there, and then application security engineers are there. Choose your path. What is your mode? Do you want to work with servers, firewalls and all these things? Then specialize in CompTIA security on that areas, and then or maybe ethical hacking part, and then about EJPT. And then if you want to make sure that you are working mostly on security engineer, even if it's cloud related, go for the cloud parts. Yeah, where can I start? So I think first place would be to see, even in security engineer, where do you want to go? And then difference between computer sec and cybersec, I did answer that. I am still in first year. How can I start? So if first year means if it's your first year in cybersecurity or general IT. So if you want to pursue a career in cybersecurity, you can use the specialization. And then what happens is you can always then I wouldn't say, because unlike EJPT and ethical hacker or CompTIA plus, if you want to pursue CISM, CISA and CISSP likewise, it requires certain years of experience. You need to have 4 years of experience to get the credential of CISM, Certified Information System Manager, or Certified Information System Auditor. So it's not, you should not rush those things first. Just try to get the experience as much as possible. And then if you want to, even if you're still in first year and you want to pursue pen testing areas, you can definitely go for the ethical hacking or pen testing certifications. Do we have anything else in here? Yes, I have seen some. Okay. I saw some vacancies on overseas, didn't require them. Can people survive with their only? I saw some vacancies on overseas, didn't require them. I'm not sure what. Is it certification requirements? Can people survive only with certifications? So I'm assuming it's for a degree. Can you elaborate these questions? Whoever put this one, I saw some vacancies on overseas, didn't require them. Can people with not question is not clear. So is that all? So yeah, just to wrap things up then, what I would say is, always think when you're in cybersecurity, you're playing the role of trust builder. So your responsibility is on making sure that everyone can trust in your company or yourself, or you play a very important role in it. And then if you want to pursue where you want to start your career with, do it with passion. Picture yourself in 2 or 3 years time, where exactly do I want to be, and then work towards it. All these certifications, and most importantly, build your network. So right now, I would say, any career, not necessarily cybersecurity, any career you want to pursue, LinkedIn is the biggest platform out there. You will find plenty of job opportunities out there, plenty of knowledge sources, so much of things out there. Build your network. We have this ISACA Sri Lanka chapter in NSBM. Likewise, there are many other chapters out there which you can be part of. So build your network, work towards it. That's the only advice. That's a big, I would say the biggest advice I could give you all. If it is, there are no questions. Guys, should we wrap up?
Yes, sir. Okay, I think we have covered all the questions that you guys asked. So before wrapping up, I would like to invite our president, Ishan, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Samadhi. Good afternoon, everybody. As we have come to the end of another wonderful, knowledgeable session, first and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Nuwantha Fonseka for providing valuable knowledge in the topic how to be safe in cyberspace, followed by cybersecurity key concepts, and showing us the way how to get into cybersecurity industry. I hope that everybody got the knowledge and the ideas how to be safe and how to proceed in cybersecurity sector. We all are inspired by the great words which encouraged us and knowledge that you shared with us. Thank you very much again for accepting our invitation and sharing your valuable knowledge with us in spite of your busy schedules. As the president of ISACA NSBM student group, I take this opportunity to pay my gratitude to all the members and other invitees who participate in order to make this event a success. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So let's wrap up the session. Good night all. Thank you for joining.
Good night.